How's it going, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the CreamCityCast. We're back at it today. I am your host yet again, Dylan Piccolo. Check my stuff out on Twitter at DP_hoops. Got some great Milwaukee Bucks stuff and general NBA content as well. And always, Cream City Central at creamcitycentral.com, Cream City Central on Twitter, and all major social media platforms. I have a very special guest and a very special friend of mine joining the podcast today. He is a graduate assistant at University of Wisconsin Whitewater, played 4 years there, also was my AAU teammate for the Wisconsin Stars. He is trying to get into the basketball scouting world, has worked with the Raptors organization, and has been to Africa and has worked with players there and has really done a good job with all of that. So I want to welcome Jerry Ngobi here. Jerry, what's up, my man? How are we doing today?
What's going on, Dylan? It's glad to finally get on the pod. Glad to finally get on the pod. My first podcast too, by the way. So
Yeah, this is his first one. I mean, for your first one, I did give you a pretty good intro. So
yeah,
I
oh yeah, I
mean,
appreciate it. That's the most important right there.
yep, we got to get off on a good foot. So we're gonna start talking kind of general NBA today, kind of go up and down the standings of the East and Western Conference and talk about some of the major storylines. Kind of talk a little bit more X's and O's as well. As Jerry kind of specializes in breaking down tape, as he likes to do constantly. So we'll get into all of that. So although, like I said, we do want to talk about all NBA. Let's talk about the best team in the NBA winning percentage wise, the Milwaukee Bucks. And I'll just kind of let you go off. What have you seen from the Bucks this year? I mean, a new head coach, kind of a new mentality, and it's paying off in the win and loss column.
I mean, the Bucks have taken care of business so far. I think that new head coach, that really that's a Kickstarter for a whole organization. It's new faces, new schemes, new concepts that he's preaching every day. And then after that, it's really on Giannis. And I think Giannis, each year you've seen his development, and he's just grown and grown and grown. A lot of guys kind of, when that celebrity comes, they kind of become stagnant. And they level off. But Giannis is keep going, keep going. And as a superstar in the NBA, people know what you do. So now, what else are you going to bring to the table to offset how defenses play you and stuff like that? And I think Giannis he's ridiculous. He's probably one of the best athletes we've ever seen play the game of basketball. So, I mean,
Well,
and also,
it's his physical gifts too. I mean, he's fit. I mean, his physical length and his attributes are one thing, but what he's done to transform his body since he
yeah,
came into the league. I mean, what is it, 57 pounds he's put on? I mean, that's a ridiculous number.
if you look at those side to side picks and you see, when that first season in Milwaukee until now, it's a whole different person. And another thing about Giannis is, to me, he plays with a passion that not everybody plays with. I remember his first All-Star game. All-Star games are kind of whatever. Guys are chill. Guys aren't really trying to go hard because they don't want to get hurt, and they'll only play hard until the last 10 minutes. But Giannis was out there blocking Steph Curry, trying to dunk on people. Like, that's just who he is as a person. And I believe that's like how he was raised. That's how he grew up from Greece, having Nigerian parents. Like, I'm not supposed to be in the NBA, and I'm here. So when I'm on this stage, I'm not just gonna loaf and kind of lollygag. Like, I'm here to work, and that's one thing that I do love and respect about Giannis.
And I think it's carried on through that whole organization and the whole team. You're starting to see them have fun. It's not been the last 20 years like it's been in Milwaukee where it's, they haven't won a playoff series since 2001. There hasn't been any expectations. They've created a buzz and an expectation, and it's carried the whole organization to revitalize the city. And now the team is taking care of it and paying the fans back.
And they're paying the fans back. One thing I do say about Wisconsin, I think we have probably the best fans in the world, whether it is the Packers, the Badgers, or the Bucks. I mean, Bucks lose,
The Brewers too, and the
Bucks in
Brewers.
8. And Brewers. I forgot about that. I'm sorry about that. When I go around to different schools or just move around, my comparison of the level of fandom is are they on the level of the Badgers? Like, that's how like sports is real in Wisconsin. So I mean, I'm happy to see the Bucks, they took that next step, and the fans are truly embracing it. Wisconsin is just at a different level when it comes to supporting teams.
Now, the kind of the sticky question that we get into with the Bucks fans, and it's kind of been a hot topic here over the last couple days, with various reports, whether accurate or inaccurate, of one of the four upcoming free agents for Milwaukee being unhappy and not wanting to return, and people are thinking it's Chris Middleton. Do you think that the Bucks can win a championship with Chris Middleton as their second best player?
I truly do. If you understand the game of basketball, you know what Chris Middleton brings. He's a long wing who can knock down shots. He's versatile. He plays defense. He plays hard. Um, I One thing that I truly believe in is winning cures all. So as long as the Bucks keep taking care of business and they focus on this season, I think that Chris Middleton he's after Giannis, he may be that second most important player. So I think obviously players want their respect, and he'll look at his resume. I don't know if it is him, but people look at their resume and they say I deserve to get X, Y, and Z after what I've produced, because in this league it's a what have you done for me now. But I truly believe that winning cures all. So as long as the Bucks keep winning in house, they're focused and locked in. I'm not there's no worries for me.
In seemingly another team who has a similar situation with a superstar with young emerging players around them, Toronto's right behind and kind of has been battling with the Bucks for that top spot in the Eastern Conference. You being, having some close knowledge of the Toronto, what has the kind of been the overall mentality about Kawhi Leonard coming there? Obviously, were people fed up with DeRozan and Lowry just being short? Because I've seen a lot of Raptors fans really buy into this whole Kawhi thing, so it kind of makes me feel like they were prepared for that this next phase of Raptors basketball with a new superstar.
I mean, it's the NBA, so you really can't be too surprised by business decisions, and that's on them. That's what they talk about in their rooms and their war rooms. Um, you know, at the end of the day, it's about winning, and we're gonna put the best team out there who's going to win, and the best players who's out there to win. Um, and I think you've heard Masai say we've given this team multiple chances, and at some point, it's on me to produce the winning product. So I mean, if the opportunity, if Greg Popovich calls you and R.C. Buford calls you, and that is on the table, I don't think I think you'd be foolish to pass that up. So I mean, he made the right decision to me, and it's most definitely paying off, as well as Bobby Webster. So you know, it's not like the hoopla of the Kawhi thing is really for the fans. I mean, and this is just NBA, and not just the Raptors, but NBA in general. To be successful in this league, you can't get caught up in all of that. You're really focused on the now and taking care of business, and you're kind of, I don't want to say in your own world, but you're in that bubble where it's basketball and I'm trying to take care of business. This is my job. This is work. And I'm not really caught up in the hoopla of what Twitter says, or you know what I mean, or what
Yeah.
is in the news cycle.
Well, I think you have to take that somewhat into consideration, because I think it has puts a general aura around your franchise that I think you need to deal with. And that also moves into like a business decision, which not always is a basketball business decision. It's kind of this is a team that is a business that makes money, that people get paid. And when you kind of plateau, as we think that the Raptors did with DeRozan and Lowry, and those are, like you said, those what have you done for me now? You've lost so many times to LeBron. You've lost so many times, and I get it's LeBron, but you know what I mean? You
Yep.
have to kind of think about it in that sense. Like, we have an image that we want to maintain, and if we want to be an elite team in the East, because there's an opening now with LeBron leaving, they had to take that chance, and they did, and it's paying off. And I mean, I love what they're doing on the court. I mean, how could you not, really? I mean, Kawhi Leonard is showing us that he's obviously what he is and has been. Siakam, no question, is my most improved player right now at this point in the season. And I see a lot from a lot of their bench guys as well. I mean, what about the X's and O's do you see like from Toronto? shit. Yo,
Are we? Did we lose everything?
no, we didn't lose everything. Where
Oh,
did you last hear me?
um, I was talking about just the different players on the team. It
I
was
was.
you.
Did you hear me finish what I said about like the different players on the team?
No, you just cut off, and I thought that was when it was you wanted me to talk.
What did I say last?
I think you said we have to take into consideration um, everything, and then you said something about, of course, it's LeBron, and then like your next sentence is when you cut off.
All right. All right. All right. Let me just like restart that then. What I was saying. Because I remember what I was saying, and I'll just edit it.
All right.
All right, let me think again. All right, I got it. All right. I mean, we have to take into consideration that at that point, it was LeBron's Eastern Conference with DeMar and Kyle Lowry. But when that opportunity came and you could upgrade, because you saw some Eastern Conference teams starting to get some better players, although most of them were going west. But Giannis is improving. Boston was getting better. So Toronto was kind of in that limbo position where it's like, well, what do we do here? We have a kind of a salary cap problem with DeMar and Kyle. Can we fix this? And yeah, they did with Kawhi. I mean, yeah, he might leave at the end of the season, but if they end up winning, I mean, there's no question that it's the correct move.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, what do you think? Like, we're talking a lot about like personnel, but from like what they're doing on the floor, what do you like from the Raptors? I mean, Siakam. I mean, obviously, he's probably my most improved player at this point. I mean, so what do you think that they're doing well and giving them the success?
I mean, first of all, they play as a team. It's not just one guy. Their bench is deep. They have shooters. They have different matchups. So if you want to go big, you can put JV out there. You can put Pascal at the 5 and go small from there. Um, Serge Ibaka is playing excellent this year. Fred VanVleet is taking care of business in that. When Kyle Lowry was out with his injury, Fred VanVleet took care of business, hit game winners. Danny Green, I don't think is praised enough. He's a proven winner, a champion, plays both sides of the floor. He really will guard your best player, and he is capable. He makes shots. So I think they're deep. That's the one thing. And for the playoffs, for a playoff push, you need a deep team. You can't be one dimensional because that kind of stagnates you. And that's Toronto's scary. Toronto's scary. And then when you put Kawhi as the icing on the cake, you know what he does when it's game time. He's not one of these superstars where you don't know if he's going to perform in the clutch. You don't know if he's going to turn the ball over. That's not his mo. He performs. He takes care of business. He's not worried about the record right now or acting extremely happy. He's worried about June, which is the most important time of the year. And so that I think having a superstar like that at top, and then when everybody else personnel under him understands what they have to do, and it's just a business like mentality, um, it is great. I also want to praise Nick Nurse, a great coach. He came in his situation. It's almost like he just hit the ground running, and they have a great coaching staff in Toronto as well. So a very deep team, and I like how they take care of business in Toronto.
How do you beat them? How if you're looking at Toronto's situation and you're on the other side, what do you do to stop them? What do they not do well?
Um, I would say, I mean, you look at that Boston game, that recent Boston game. You have to be firing. You have to be firing on all cylinders as they are. Almost like when you're playing Golden State, your best
Yeah,
defense is offense. You have to attack them,
yeah,
right? They come from they. It's not just one score. They come from a lot of different angles. So you got to attack them. So the way you saw Kyrie just attacking, attacking, attacking.
yeah.
When Kyrie comes out, Terry Rozier attack, attack, attack. So I mean, that's not just the Raptors. That's even the Warriors. I mean, your best defense is good offense. So
And I think that, I do think you bring up a big point there because that Boston game, albeit it's a regular season game, it was a national TV game, pretty big marquee game on ESPN. The Raptors have had a history of shrinking in that spotlight, and that's not necessarily where it's trending to that point, but I just wonder how that can happen. So something happens so many times it starts to become habitual, and Boston makes those key plays. They made them in the playoffs last year, so until that balance is shifted back into where Toronto's making those plays, you can't trust it, and it's hard because I look at when I look at the Bucks, until the Bucks can consistently, and they have been, beat like bad teams on a consistent basis, I'm not trusting them that they're going to go in and roll Charlotte on a Tuesday night in February
Yep.
because they just haven't done it before. And I just think that when all things are right, I think that you could make a case for four teams in the Eastern Conference to win the to get to the finals. But it's who is ready to make those big plays in those big moments. And I see a lot of people like hating on like Stephen A. Smith and because he was talking about Boston, but he likes Boston more, but because he's seen Kyrie Irving hit big shots. I
Yep.
mean, that's what this is. You want your team to get this respect. They got to go out and do it. I mean, you can think so much of like I think Giannis is awesome. He can be the MVP, but until he goes out there and shows me that he can hit a 16 to 18-foot jumper absolutely repetitively, I don't think he can be the best player in the world.
I mean, you have a very valid point in that I'm not trusting you until you show me, right? So I mean, I look at, for example, you want to look at like a James Harden or a Russell Westbrook. Yeah, inflated numbers in the regular season is good and it sounds good, the next morning when you watch ESPN and Scott Van Pelt is praising you. But when it's game 7, what baffles me about James Harden is he was overworked in that Spurs. He said in that Spurs series I just broke down. So we brought in CP3. He has a history of kind of failing in the moment, in the biggest moment. So you get to a game 7, which is probably your only chance of beating a Golden State Warriors team. That's the weakest I've ever seen them in the playoffs. Granted, CP is hurt, but you just have one game to get the job done. And again, he failed in the moment. Russell Westbrook, his points are inflated. He gets triple doubles. Yeah, that sounds good. I get he's a great player, a Hall of Fame player, but in the moment, Donovan Mitchell dominated you in that series, a rookie. So your point is valid. The thing with me, where in the East, come to the East, Kyrie is proven. So until shown otherwise, we're going to say, okay, we've seen what Kyrie does. We know what he does. This is who we're kind of putting our money on. But to me, I think people have forgotten who Kawhi Leonard is. Kawhi Leonard is somebody who's taking care of LeBron James in the finals in his matchup. When it comes down to it, when we're lacing our shoes up, I'm playing and I'm not worrying about anything. My focus is getting this win and dominating my matchup. And I think that's the one thing about Kawhi Leonard that he's shown this year that I don't think outside of Kyrie Irving, anybody in the East has on their team. And that's a good scary that Toronto has. Now in Milwaukee's case, again, they got to show us. I mean, yeah, you can have a great regular season, but I mean, you're right. You got to show us, and time will tell. Now, this is just me speculating, all speculation, but Kawhi has proven, and he's shown that. And we haven't talked about Philly even.
Yeah, I was just gonna move down to those 3, 4, and 5 teams and kind
I
of
think
bring them
Philly,
more
I
into the
think
conversation for
Philly is
sure.
built for the playoffs. As you saw when they played the Rockets last night, when Joel Embiid dominates down there, I think that's when they're truly unstoppable. And Ben Simmons he's such a great player where he can kind of float around and make his own plays. When you need to make a play, he'll push, throw behind
Yeah.
back pass to JJ Redick, no look. You know what I'm saying? The momentum is on our side.
I just worry about their depth. I see like, you know, they just if Ben Simmons or Joel doesn't have a good game. I mean, I know Jimmy can step up and hit big shots, and I know he can go out there and really perform well, but I just, when they don't have all three of them on the court, I just wonder, are they going to be able to keep that gap when they have, the point differential, when they do have those guys in and they are firing on all cylinders? But I also think that we need to say, they're still very young.
Very young.
They're two guys. Two,
Franchise player.
probably their two cornerstone players in Embiid and Simmons are, under what, 25 years old, probably.
Yep.
At least. And, those experiences don't happen. Not everyone has LeBron's, playoff experience, or Curry's playoff experience, or Durant's, or Westbrook's. I mean, it takes time for those things to develop. So, yes, I think when they get there, they can be super dangerous. But I also think Philly shoots themselves in the foot a lot. That's how they lose their games, is when they shoot themselves in the foot. So it's kind of managing those mental mistakes. Can we limit those? And, how does that, I mean, in the playoffs, because they need to get as high a seed as they can get.
And I think it as they perform, I think Jimmy Butler's going to show us who he really is, because now he's in a situation where you got to take care of business because you have two other bona fide superstars with you. I mean, in Chicago, we get it. Derrick Rose was hurt, so that's how you rose. In Minnesota, you had some. Let's just call a spade a spade. You had some soft young players that were at. I look at the culture of basketball. Say you're a great AAU player. You're on your high school team. Your coach doesn't want you to go to a big prep school. He's going to coddle you. Your AAU team, you play for a Nike AAU team. They're giving you money. They're giving you shoes. They're giving, you're going to camps. They're flying you out. EYBL this, EYBL that. So, okay, good. You get to college. You're only there for a year. So, of course, you go to Kentucky. In the case of Karl Towns, you go to Kentucky. You're treated like a king. You get to Minnesota. Yes, he dominates. But when you're pushed and you back away, that says something about you. Now, when you look at Kobe and Shaq, they would go at it, but nobody backed down in that situation. You get me? Nobody gave ground. Now, they may have argued and fought, but there's a respect. When I look at you, I challenge you, and you stand up to me as a man. There's a respect in that. And I think Jimmy Butler lost respect. The one takeaway, it shouldn't have gotten to the public. Now, granted, there were cameras there. He said it was the wrong day, whatever. And just woke up on the wrong side of the bed, whatever. But, I mean, now it's Jimmy Butler's time to show, okay, can you get the job done? Because you've been provided with the players that you said you need. So, I mean, there's a lot on the line for Philadelphia.
Right now, I mean, Philadelphia would be hosting a series against Boston. Well, who would you take right now in that series as it stands? They start today. Yeah.
Right now, I would have to take Boston only because Kyrie is Kyrie. I mean,
and that's where we're at.
Yeah, Kyrie is at the end of the day, when it all breaks down, you can just give him the ball, and when it's a close game, when it's when we're up 4 with 4 minutes left and we need a bucket, that's one person that I'm giving I with all my money, I'm giving the ball to Kyrie. And
they have intelligent players in Boston. I'll tell you that. I mean, between Kyrie and Al Horford, I mean, right there in those two, you have two guys that can take all of that young talent and kind of try and kind of make that an orchestra, and it hasn't worked quite yet, but
I hope it will. I hope it does, because Jaylen Brown is just phenomenal.
I think, and I think that this is maybe a little controversial, but I think Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown have regressed this year.
I wouldn't say regressed. I would say when you don't have the ball in your hands,
and that's where I get at.
Yeah, you have a limited opportunity to do. Your sample size is smaller, so you can't just say, "Oh, Jason Tatum is having a bad year. Jaylen Brown is having a bad year." Why? Look at the why. Jaylen Brown sometimes gets DNPs. So, I think Boston still is figuring it out. I mean, again, Gordon Hayward still isn't Gordon Hayward, and we don't know if he's going to be the Gordon Hayward that they brought in this year at all. Um, there, is Markieff Morris going to take that back burner role, or is he going to when he's in, is he going to be productive? And you're seeing little things as them pushing each other in the huddle. Okay, we get it. That's basketball. It happens. We're men. We have spats, but I just hope they get together because I want to see great basketball in Boston. I want to see great basketball in Boston.
I'm concerned kind of with Boston about how their team was kind of formulated. You know, I've heard do they have too much talent? You can never have too much talent, but I think the question more for me is it the right talent? I see, Kyrie is a fine distributor. I don't. It's not what he's known for by any means.
Kyrie can pass that basketball.
He can pass it. I know he can, but if you say Kyrie Irving, your first instinct is not a distributor.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is there's only one ball, and I think when Jason Tatum has kind of he's good, he's a decent passer, but I think he has, he works out with Kobe. He kind of has to get his Kobe mentality. Kyrie kind of has that. Jaylen Brown kind of relies on his athleticism a little bit. I don't know if there's necessarily enough shooting on that team really for what Kyrie is. I don't know if that team is necessarily constructed for Kyrie Irving as your superstar. And you also have to look, is Kyrie Irving, is he a top? I mean, he's probably a top 10 player, I would say. I would argue. But can you win a championship with him as your one? I mean, he's yet to prove it. Obviously, he was hurt, but I just don't know that. I don't.
I mean, you bring up a valid point in that. I mean, I heard somebody say that Kyrie can get it done if he's your 1A, where if LeBron is LeBron and all Kyrie has to focus on is just getting boogie and just dancing on people.
Yeah.
If that's what his focus is, not everything else, then you're in good hands with Kyrie. But I truly believe as a one, he can get the job done only because of who Kyrie is as a person. He's very thoughtful. He thinks through situations, and I think his past few comments have been kind of directed at his teammates. Back and forth. You never really know what's going on behind the scenes because we're not in those locker rooms. But I think Kyrie can get the job done. Now it's up to. There's a lot on the line this season that if he can prove that he can get the job done. And what you say about is there enough shooting? I think you also do have to surround him with the right players. You do have to surround him with the right players. Also, if you're going to be a championship team, it may not be a strong suit, but there may be something that the team needs. And you do that exceptionally well, even though that's not your full game. So like Jaylen Brown, I know this is not your game, but can you be a very good catch and shoot 3-point shooter? Just so we can have success on this team.
Exactly.
Now, you get what I'm saying? Jason Tatum, can you pick your spots at the right time? Things like small things like that is what really makes a championship team. So
and I called into NBA Sirius XM radio on this, and I was talking to some guy about this, and this is what I mentioned when he brought up that point about Boston, and I was referencing Milwaukee's more depth being usable, and I know I'm on this topic, but with the different ways that Mike Budenholzer can put out these players around Giannis, I mean, he has a lineup for whatever the other team puts out there. He really does.
Yep.
Between Lopez and Ilyasova and DJ Wilson's emergence, and if Thon Maker is playing well at that time, you have a different big, and including Giannis in that, you have a different big in every setup. You have Pat Connaughton and Dante DiVincenzo if you need those type of 3-point shooters or scrappy guys on the floor. If you don't, you could get Sterling Brown to play good defense and hit occasional threes. Yep. You go and get George Hill, a good point guard, a veteran point guard, for the same reason why the Cavs got him, to hold down the fort when the second unit comes in. I mean, that is like when I'm talking about making a team and surrounding your superstar with the right pieces. Because like you even look at when we move out, when we talk about West in a second here, LeBron doesn't have the right pieces around him, and you see that. is the problem, and you see that's a problem. You see Russell Westbrook. I mean, yeah, PG is nice, but PG is more about him. PG doesn't necessarily make Russell Westbrook better.
Yep.
You know, it's all about this big jigsaw puzzle, and it's weird how it works out. And that's why I commend you for trying to go into scouting, because it's amazing. It's hard to do how to get all that stuff. But before we go to the West, I want to just talk about one more team, because I would be hated if we did not talk about the Indiana Pacers.
Okay.
Because I think the Indiana Pacers are a very good team. They're third in the Eastern Conference right now with a 31-15 record. Um, they don't do anything fancy, but they just take care of business.
Yep. And I
That's
think
really
that
what it
starts
is.
from the top down. Victor Oladipo is who he is, a very take care of business guy, and he's a great leader. I don't think he's praised. I don't want to say praised, but I don't think people understand what type of a leader he is. And being a leader is not just yelling at your teammates or doing. It's when the game is done. Let's all go out to dinner. Let's all conversate. Take our minds off basketball. Small things like that. Creating relationships with players that you wouldn't think a superstar would be friends with. Guys that are 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th guys off the bench. So I think Victor Oladipo's leadership is one of a great quality and the cohesion that team has. And I love Miles Turner.
Miles Turner is really nice, and they have the ultimate Giannis stopper in Thaddeus Young, who is like built to shut Giannis down. Uh, Bojan is always there to hit shots.
Yeah.
Tyreek Evans has been an underrated signing. I mean, in the month of December, they went 12-3. So, I'm not going to say like I watch every Pacers game and I know exactly what's going on with them, but from the times I've seen them play the Bucks or the times I've seen them play on League Pass, I just see them getting it done. And whether that's Victor Oladipo getting to the rim or getting easy shots, they just finish. And I don't necessarily think that they're up to the four teams you mentioned to either, because I just don't think that they have that talent or that caliber of superstar on their roster. But I think that there's no question, and we saw it last year, they can take any team to 7 games in a 7-game series. Who knows what could happen?
Yeah. I think for me, it's, can Victor Oladipo get one more, a supporting piece? Is somebody going to come to Indiana? Because you have rim protection with Miles Turner. You have Victor Oladipo, but outside of that, is there really, and you have some shooting, but can there be somebody that can take that load off his shoulders and make his life a little bit easier?
Because I don't know if he could be necessarily the one that can win you a championship, but that's to be seen. It's still a good player. So let's move on to the Western Conference. Well, it's always tight in the West with a lot of quality teams. I guess we'll always start at the top with Golden State. Now that they have DeMarcus Cousins, and we've seen him the last 2 games. Played not a lot of minutes, but we've seen some flashes of what they could be. Man, Klay Thompson was really good on Martin Luther against the Lakers last night.
Yeah,
he was unbelievable. I mean, that shooting performance, like watching that live, it's like, wow, you're actually sitting there and you're seeing him just put these in, and they're not routine shots. The one he's hitting, I think he made 10. I think it was 10 threes and 4 dribbles, right?
Well, for him, it's routine, though. For him, it's routine. To be honest, he's the second best shooter to ever play the game of basketball, and that's my opinion. Their routine for him, it's quick. He catches it high, holds his follow through, and knocks it down. And it's nothing for him to get hot. A real shooter blanks out because they miss 5, but they'll make number 6. And then if they see one go in, I can make 8, 9, and 10, and that can be ball game. So that's the scary thing about this Golden State team. Anybody can get hot. They're leaving Kevin Durant to go. Like who leaves Kevin Durant open to go off him double? Like that's the scary part about this team. And I think DeMarcus Cousins is Boogie. He obviously has to get his legs back and but he's to be honest, he's a 7-foot point guard. He can pass, he can shoot. When they come off those split actions where Draymond's holding the ball, Steph comes off that screen, another Klay comes off, and somebody slips. Boogie can can tell Clay to slip, he can take a step back and make a knockdown catch and shoot three. So I think with Boogie there, the Golden State is, I mean, they're a different team, but they're still as dangerous.
I think when I watched DeMarcus Cousins against the Lakers last night, and we're recording this on Tuesday night here, I think I've never had a stronger, like, just hot take come in my mind.
Yep.
I think the Warriors need to get rid of Draymond Green and figure out a way to keep DeMarcus Cousins there, because, and he said that he wouldn't be opposed to, staying there, because if you make that seamless transition, I think that you can make your basketball team like self-sufficient for, so long.
That is a very hot take, spicy. But the thing that is going through my mind is everything that Draymond has done for that organization cannot just be disrespected like that. So when he's sitting down in those meetings, I don't think Joe Lacob can just easily say, all right, get out of here. So I think, and truly, I truly believe the Warriors in-house, they're a family. So obviously business is business. But, and I've heard that, actually heard somebody say that on TV the other day, where we can get rid of Draymond and keep DeMarcus. But, I think who DeMarcus is, he may want you never know what people want. He may want his own situation, things like that.
That's true.
But
and I also think Draymond brings something that no one else in the NBA can bring.
Fine not scoring. Draymond can have 10 rebounds, 4 blocks, and 12 assists, and be completely happy with his performance, walking away with a me mug on his face saying, I dominated. Like, I dominated this game without scoring a single point. I think his shot will come along. He has been struggling with that, but really, just get in the gym and knock down shots. All you got to do is make down a catch and shoot three. Or a standstill three. Knock that down and you're good to go. Boogie is great, but I eventually think Boogie, when you're a superstar in the NBA, you wanna be a superstar. When you have that potential, you have to take advantage of that. So I don't think Boogie will take another veterans minimum contract just for the sake of staying in Golden State. But that is that's not out of the question, because anything can happen in the NBA.
I think the mighty championship ring might be
enough.
Enough. I mean, at a certain point, you can make all the money in the world, but to have that gratification inside the basketball fraternity that you're going to be in for the rest of your life, I mean, that's something that you gotta, that's why a lot of these guys are trying to get on Warriors, trying to sign with the Warriors for the veterans minimum, because they know that they can get a ring and cement their legacy.
Yep.
So we'll move on from Golden State and go to the number 2 team in the West. A very surprising, not surprising necessarily about how talented they are, but necessarily how high they are in the standings. The Denver Nuggets.
Yeah.
Nikola Jokic is he's arguably the best center in the NBA. With the way he's playing, he can really do it all. Averaging 19, 10, 7, and a one steal a game and almost a block a game. I mean, the Jokic, Murray, Gary Harris, Millsap, and Beasley lineup is just unreal. I mean,
and they have Will Barton coming back from injury. I think worked him back in. That even continues to make them more dangerous. Another key thing is Monte Morris off the bench is a great backup point guard. And I think Jokic, you can run your offense through him. And I think, for me, the thing that elevates them is Jamal Murray, because Jamal Murray is aggressive. And this is a knock that I have against Lonzo Ball. Okay, Lonzo, we get that you can pass. But at some point in the scheme of basketball, you have to attack to create. You look at CP. Chris Paul is a pass-first point guard. But if the opportunity comes for me to score and to continue to score and to drive and put pressure on the defense, I'm going to do that in order to create the collapse of the defense to find who I need to find. Sometimes Lonzo, 3 times in a row, will drive. Defenses knowing he's not going to attack. Nobody is committing to him. They're staying to their man. Turnover, right? So And I've seen Lonzo just play off instinct, like he's in the playground at UCLA, just playing. So that's the one knock I have against him. But Jamal Murray back to Denver, I mean, if you let him get hot, he'll put 40 on your head. He'll tell you. That's I like that. I like a player who comes ready to play and they'll let you know because it's the NBA and we're grown men. We're getting paid to play this game and I come here to take care of business. So I think his growth from last year is really elevates them as a team because it's not just you can't just play off of Jokic. But Jokic is great in that he's your centerpiece where you literally give him the ball, he can make the right decision, right? He can phenomenal passer out of the post.
When you have a facilitator that can absolutely dominate the high post and the upper high post, it's over because with the way that teams are being creative with their off-ball movement and their screening, a guy who has that type of vision with that type of ball handling and shooting ability, it's really, really hard for anyone to get a good read on what he's going to do in any certain situation. And there's not many players like him because, I mean, with that height, he really is. And obviously, he doesn't get a bunch of love because he's European and, doesn't speak, great English, but he is a phenomenal player, and he is honestly he is and probably will be an MVP candidate for a while to come with the numbers that he is putting up. And as long as Denver keeps succeeding, I don't see any reason why not.
If you know the game, you understand what Jokic brings to the table, and he's special. He's a special big.
So we'll move down the Western Conference ladder to we're kind of in that middle, I guess, the middle tier. If you wanna, there's a big middle tier under Golden State.
I mean, from OKC down to Utah, that's a 2-game difference. I mean,
yeah, it
Utah,
really
8 seed, and even LA. LA is 20. They have 25 wins. Utah has 26. Even Sacramento goes off on a tear. So the way right now, it's very important to take care of business in the West.
So instead of just breaking down all these teams, let's kind of take what we kind of think where the cream kind of rises to the top here. Because there's pretenders. I mean, obviously, when you get into the playoffs in the West, a 7 could beat a 2. I mean, there's nothing out of the question there in the Western Conference. Well, it's more unlikely in the Eastern Conference. So I want to talk about. I want to point out 3 teams. I want to point out. Obviously, what James Harden's doing, is it sustainable?
Ridiculous.
I think another team that I think is kind of interesting to talk about, maybe they're not really contenders at this point yet. I think the Clippers are a really fun story this season. And I also think that, OKC and the Spurs are fun as well. There's a lot of good storylines, but let's start with James Harden. Man, there really hasn't been a run like this, I'm sure, since Wilt Chamberlain laced him up, and he has jumped Giannis to the top of the MVP ladder at this point, and catapulted Houston all the way up to 5 in the Western Conference. Talk a little bit about Houston and what James Harden's really doing for this team.
I think James Harden is just solidifying who he is in this game. I mean, he has to, because if he's not doing this, Houston's in trouble. So he's proving his worth. He plays so natural that it's so easy. Like when you say cut off his left, you're not cutting off his left because if you cut me off my left, I'm hesitating and I'm just gonna cross back. And all I need is this much space to knock down a shot. And the thing that makes him so dangerous is the shooter. I heard him say this one time. He said, I've always been able to shoot. Excellent. Now, it may be a streaky, but if he, as you saw in Philly, TJ McConnell, I'm just gonna shoot over you. I'm gonna dance with you. And when I don't think a lot of people have been in that. When you're guarding somebody, like I've not on this level, but I've guarded Cordell Young. He's an All-American, and he tried out for the Texas Legends, and like his game was similar to that in that a lefty that can he's extremely quick with that first step, and he kind of dances, and then he goes, or he can dance, go fake, pull up. Like That is extremely deadly. Um, and just the thing for me is James, please do this in the playoffs. Please take care of business. Because if you can play like this against Golden State, I mean, the name of the game is to score. And if you can keep up with them, you can do that. PJ Tucker makes shots, and he's a great passer. He's a great passer. So I think James Harden is taking care of business. I hope CP comes back, but James is just being James, and he's elevating. He's elevating. I think he's as a scorer, he's on that Kobe level now. To me, like
And trust me, if James Harden beats the Warriors and maybe even wins a championship this year,
he's on that Kobe level.
He will immediately be right there with Kevin Durant, LeBron, and Steph. And Kawhi. He will be right there in that upper echelon of like guys who, because yeah, you could throw Giannis or AD, but they haven't done it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Because James is in that category right now. So if he wins, I mean, he has all the accolades. He has everything. He has the scoring. He has all the numbers. But if you throw in a championship there, you're talking about one of the greatest shooting guards in the history of the game. And he's probably already one of the greatest shooting guards in the game, talent-wise. But we're talking about legacy-wise. He will be one of the greatest to go down ever to do it.
Oh yeah, James, he's special. I mean, he's mastered how to I don't want to say exploit, but he knows how to play within this rules. How within the within how they ref the game. So I mean, if you reach, I'm gonna go up through contact and finish through contact. And he has touch too around the rim. So a shot that looks awkward, and he knows he just gotta. If he gets the ball in the air, give enough arc on the shot, it's gonna have a higher percentage of going in. So James is dangerous.
Let's talk a little bit about the third seed, Oklahoma City. Obviously it's a constant, they're the Russell Westbrook fans, and then there's the Russell Westbrook people that just nitpick and, they look at his shot selection and the fact that he can't shoot threes and the fact that he shoots a lot of them, and they just don't like it. But, man, I'm telling you, behind all of that, Paul George looks better than he did than when he broke his leg. Paul George is playing out of his damn mind this season.
He's in rhythm. I think right before he got hurt, he was just getting into rhythm where he was feeling confident in who he was in the league, especially after that, Miami series. So now he's really in rhythm. I mean, he can shoot. He's big, and I mean, I think I saw today he had 5 steals in the first half. Like he's a defender.
He's averaging 2.3 steals per game.
A defender is somebody who I respect, somebody who plays on both sides of the ball, disrupts offense, doesn't make it easy for you, doesn't let you score, and he's 6'9", 6'10", strong. I mean, he can score out of the post.
He leads the league in steals, 102 total steals on the season.
Defensively, he's up there with Kawhi. So, I mean, Paul George, again, is he's a dangerous player.
There's so many talented guys, and it's actually, like, just so unfortunate that there is such a just, like, a large, like, obviously, like, on a regional level, like, Giannis is the biggest thing in the Milwaukee. Paul George is the biggest thing in Oklahoma. DeMar DeRozan's the biggest thing in San Antonio. Like, all these guys are so talented, and it's like I just like hate ranking them sometimes because it's like, man, like I love what Paul George does. I love what James Harden does. I love what Kawhi does. I love what Kemba does. I love what they all do. But that's what would we talk about if we didn't rank these players?
Well, definitely. That's the great thing about the NBA is it's the best players in the world all on one stage.
And I know some people love college basketball, but I tried to watch a Wisconsin game the other day, and not the one against Michigan, but it was it was tough.
No, when you've conditioned yourself to watch that high level of basketball and you look for certain things, when you go to that college level, you can definitely tell the difference. But you have to look in the positive of that. You're watching the NBA and you understand what you need to do to be successful in the NBA, that when you see a great college player or a player that has skills that are translatable to the NBA, you're able to see it, right? You're able to see it because you watch so much basketball that it's second nature. So now it's everything else after that. What kind of a person is this guy? All those other factors. But yeah, I totally get what you're saying. But I tell myself basketball is basketball. So
True.
there's still a love to it. So there's still certain things that I look for. But the good thing about that is you can tell who's the superior player on who's the best player on the court. What
Absolutely.
certain bigs in college is this big guy can as long as he runs the floor, is active on and protects the rim, he can help a team out. So I mean, I totally get what you're saying.
So let's kind of break off of kind of talking about each team. Let's talk a little bit more of the individual basis. I think based off of what you said, your MVP would be James Harden as of right now, no question. Defensive player of the year, I would put Paul George in that spot.
Paul George and Rudy Gobert is still sensational. That's
Rudy Gobert always takes care of the rim.
oh, yeah, takes care of the rim, and you got to respect that.
And you see it when teams play Utah. If you watch them and you stay up and watch them West Coast, teams actively do not go to the rim.
He will send that shot into the third row.
They actively say, I will not get closer than 7 feet of this hoop or bad things will end up happening.
He'll catch this ball. He'll catch it. Yeah,
and they usually do. He keeps them in bounds too, which is the most amazing thing.
That's a skill too, where instead of just blocking and setting it, you can block it and keep it in play and create a fast break from that.
Absolutely. And so and then most improved, I'm gonna say Siakam.
I got Pascal. I have to put Pascal there. Also, though, an underrated most improved player. Well, after Pascal, I'll say Dinwiddie. But if you watch the Miami Heat, Justice Winslow is taking care of business in Miami. They don't really have a point guard, so he controls in late game situation. He makes plays. I want you from now on watch Miami here and there and just tune in. Look at the stat line. Look at take it of the context of the game. Justice Winslow takes care of business for us in Milwaukee, for Miami. He's their closer. D Wade's kind of on the. You know what D Wade is, but Justice Winslow for me is in that conversation. I think because Miami is not really. They don't have that superstar, so they're kind of not talked about, and people don't really watch them. But I've watched Miami this year, and Justice Winslow is definitely there. But Pascal, Dinwiddie, and Justice Winslow.
I love what Brooklyn's doing. I love what they're doing. I think they took such a terrible situation, whatever that old regime left them with, and D'Angelo Russell has seemed to turn a corner in basketball and in his life, and he seems like he is honestly thriving in Brooklyn. Jared Allen is a problem in the Eastern Conference.
Rim protector.
He's a great, like you said, can he run well and can he protect the rim, and he does both of those well.
You don't do too much. Do what you do and do it well.
Yep. And then, you get Karras. He's developed into a fantastic player.
He'll be back too.
Yep, and he'll be back. So, Brooklyn has a lot going for them as well in the future.
The thing for me is, can D'Angelo Russell, is he going to be consistent? Now, in the NBA, if you show us, it's almost like a teacher or a coach that says, I've seen what you're capable of, but if you don't do that on a daily basis, I'm going to be disappointed in you because I know the standard that you can play at. D'Angelo Russell will score 30, give you 7. Score 40, 5. So, I mean, and he's in the contract year. So, is he going to continue this play and be productive, or is he just going to kind of have these ups and downs?
And that's what seems to separate a lot of these players. That's where the pay grades start to get separated, and you start to see that in the summer.
Yep.
And there's definitely going to be a lot of movement this summer, so we'll definitely be keeping tabs on that. So, coach of the year, I'm gonna have to go with Budenholzer. I mean, you look at everything, and obviously, Brook Lopez is a big help. He unlocked all of that talent on that roster, and I think if the Bucks finish with the best record in the NBA, I think there's no question that that's got to be where you go.
Most definitely. Budenholzer is up there. I also Malone in Denver, um,
Yep.
and Nick Nurse because he stepped into a new position. Now you can say he was on the staff, but still the roles are different. Stepped into the head coaching role, seemed almost seamlessly, even though it wasn't, and he's helped them take care of business. So I'll say Malone and Nick Nurse as
I
well.
don't I don't think that this guy will get any votes, but I will say one of the most impressive coaching jobs that I've seen thus far this season has been by Dave Yeager in Sacramento.
Okay.
Sacramento has played every game this season pretty much tough.
They're a young team. If you look at them, it's the formula. Yes, they've had some struggling years, but they're a young team that has a future. Like
Yeah.
they play hard. They got
All their players have people attributes that you like.
that you like and that are valuable. So Sacramento will be here for some time now. The thing is, let's see if they continue to take those progressive steps. But Sacramento is dangerous, most definitely.
All right. Well, I think we talked about a lot
Let's talk
here.
about Luka.
You
Luka.
want to talk about Luca?
Luka.
All right. Let me hear what you want to say about Luca.
I mean, coming into the draft, it was skepticism about is what he did in Europe does that hold weight in the NBA, because the NBA is a different game. There's athletic players, but basketball is basketball. I had said it before. The way kids in America, our system of basketball, it's productive, but if you're the best, you're not surrounded with the best always, right? Luca, as a young kid, he's the best. We're gonna put you in an environment where you're around grown. So mentally and just his game, his knowledge of the game was raised from a young age. So he's always been 5 steps ahead, 3 steps ahead, 4 steps ahead. And I like you compare Luca to a Carl Towns, like it's just disappointing how he's performed, or Andrew Wiggins. Like obviously he's from Canada, but I mean,
Mentally.
yeah, I think you can look at the blueprint as to how European players kind of that system. It's almost like a soccer model where if Ronaldo, if I see you and you're a prodigy, I'm going to throw you in Real Madrid's soccer academy.
Right.
You fit-
It's a business. It's
It's a,
efficiency. You
and
know,
and I don't see why it can't, because hey, let's be honest, they're getting paid in college. So can we find a model? And I think the G League is doing a sensational job of this new program that they're kind of trying to initiate with
125,000.
oh yeah, with Rod Strickland at the helm, and they're still trying to perfect that. But that's a great option. But I think we still have to fix our system because it shouldn't be 20 guys get drafted and 5 are. I mean, obviously numbers are numbers, but it shouldn't be a small percentage are take care of business, and what their games are determine how productive they are. So
And I think that if you look at a business side, there's a market for basketball in America.
it's the fastest to me. It's the fastest growing sport. I mean, football will always be football. Baseball, unless you have a pure love for it,
Mm-hmm.
it's a slow game.
Yeah.
It took me a little while to understand the love of baseball until my younger brother played, and I would sit and I would just watch, and I never got why people love baseball. I mean, this game is just it's mad boring. You
A lot of
sit
strategy.
once you're it's a lot of strategy. It's a lot. It's like basketball but slowed down.
Yeah.
Basketball is a little bit more fast paced. Football is like that, but it's a little bit slower. And there's action. You get to see the players' faces. They make great plays. You see people getting slammed on. You see great. You look at a Zion, like just Zion. Just go YouTube him. That's gonna make you want to watch some Duke games. So I think that's what makes basketball basketball.
I think like if you look at players like I'm gonna use a local example here. If you look at players like Vander Blue, for example, if there was a more established minor league basketball system where it like wasn't more of like it wasn't like a joke. Like if you're in the second division of English soccer, you're still treated like a royalty. Like you live a fantastic life.
and the
Like
game is still taken serious by the
people are fans of just that team. They're not fans of, obviously like it's going to be a minor league deal because like there's no way that you could have a team like regulated or whatever, like they do it in the Premier League. But if you could create an atmosphere where it's like that, then you can start to see some of these fantastic college players that maybe don't have the time, or the NBA team. There's only 2 rounds of the draft.
Yeah.
There's not always a spot for them.
Yeah.
If you can give these guys more chance to develop, you could see some guys that we never got the chance to see because they never got that opportunity to develop.
Yeah, I think when players get to the NBA level, I think I know the NBA does a sensational job of giving them opportunity to develop. To me, it's before they get to the NBA, because a lot of these guys get to the NBA and they're not ready. They played 4 years of high school, and then 1 year of college, and bang, I'm in the league.
Well, exactly. What I'm saying is there needs to be another step even after that, even after college, because you look at some of these guys. Yes, Luka can do this because, like you said, he's been around it. Some of these guys that come in, and Giannis wasn't ready to play in the NBA when he was 19. He could have used a couple years of developing, but you also have to consider, that's for your high ceiling guys, because if you put them out there, they're going to get better from playing against that competition. But some guys aren't.
Yeah.
They're going to get better by playing against guys that they can, if Giannis is so physically, what I'm saying is Giannis is so physically gifted that if he can't like do a crossover and get past someone, it's fine because he can jump over them. But with some players, they can't. If they can't get a crossover, they can't do anything.
So, I mean, that's a great point you bring up. And I think it comes that's where your front office does a great job, where they see that when I'm looking on the sideline, I'm looking at Giannis. Okay, I understand for the now, you may not have that strength, but you have these other skills to the right side of you that as long as you work on your strength, your body, continue to be the person that you are, you will develop that. Now, a player who doesn't have that, we're going to give you the blueprint. And at the end of the day, this is a business. So, I sit and I've been around guys where you wonder from the outside looking, and you're like, bruh, yo, this guy is not, what's wrong? Like, why isn't it not working out? Why is he still in the G League? And then you get in the situation. I don't want to say names, but you get in the situation. And you look and you hear people talking, oh, that's why? Oh, this guy, he doesn't want to show up. This guy is a head case. This guy, he never just shows up to play. He's always hurt. It's his back, his finger, his arm, his knee. He never just comes to play the game. Like, so outside of all those issues, you're completely right in that. I think we can do a little bit better job in helping develop these guys, because I think the NBA is kind of frustrated in that we're doing a lot of the developing, and nothing is going on before.
Yeah, and what's the worst case scenario? You're gonna have more basketball teams and more places where people want to see people play basketball. I mean, that's just what it's all about: giving the game more love and growing it as it can for the best that it can be. So. Well, Jerry, I want to thank you very much for coming on to the podcast. We had a lot of great content, a lot of great information.
I hope I'm invited back.
As always, you're always invited on the podcast as well. If you want to give Jerry a follow on Twitter, he does a lot of cool NBA breakdowns, some cool tweets. You can check him out at Jerry Ngobi, Ngoibi.
Yes, Ngobi. Yes, originally from Uganda. So follow that, Jerry Ngobi. Yes,
he's a really cool guy. So hey, if you ever see him around, always give him some love. You can check me out on Twitter at DP_hoops. Always check out the cool content we have at CreamCityCentral.com. We have a short week for the Bucks coming up here. They beat Dallas on Monday, and they will not play again until Charlotte on Friday. We'll have a preview podcast coming out around Thursday for that, to get you ready for that matchup in the weekend ahead for Bucks basketball. So, Jerry, one more time, thank you, dude. I really appreciate you coming on.
It was fun, man.
Had a really good time. Thanks, and have a good day. Go Bucks.
Go Bucks.